Hey, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Joy Made Millionaire, episode number 10. Made it to the double digits. Very happy to be here. If you hear me and see me out in the live viewing land, please let me know that you are here. I love that we get to do this live every single week. Sometimes my mom pops by, sometimes all sorts of crazy stuff happens here on Joy Made Millionaire Live. If you have never tuned in live, we do this on Wednesdays. Go check us out. We would love to see you. Hey to Charity May and HM. And let me get the chat up here so I can see anybody else swinging by. Hey to Amy. Couldn't do this without you. And yeah, the people are coming. Hey to Stephanie and hey to Brenda. All right. I have a theory that we're working around today. It's going to take a few jumps. But what the eventual is, as I say, Barbara, it is nice to see you today too. And Helena and Dolly, as well as Deborah. Yes, grab your seat. Hey, Richard and Allie, all of you, wonderful people. So it's going to take a couple jumps to get to where I want to get to today. But what the eventual final result would be in the midst of this, what it will be is you will see that it is in your control to find more opportunities, also known as luck. So what the eventual, if you stick around, and hey, Scarlett, if you stick around, you are going to hear my logical walkthrough of how scientifically you can actually get more luck and opportunities in your life. How does that sound? If that sounds good to you and you are not on the live, just shout like wherever you are. If you are on the live, let me know if that sounds good to you. So I started thinking about this a little bit after last week's episode, which I highly recommend, not just because I did it, because I think that we came upon some really interesting stuff. Last week, I walked through the happiness book that I had written back in 2011 called The Post-College Guide to Happiness. And in this book, I talked about how sometimes you need to inspire your brain to be able to recognize new patterns, to be able to fully use the brain's ability to change, which is known as neuroplasticity. And I hadn't thought about that in a while, even though I had absolutely embodied it. I've been doing lots of new things in the last year or two. I hadn't done coaching for a while. Went into one coaching I hadn't been coached in a while. I went into one coaching program that seemed promising that didn't work. I went into another coaching program that was much more promising, and I would say definitely has taught me tons of things. I have gone to places I've never been to. I have inspired my brain to move and change and grow and do all sorts of wonderful things. And so, in a way, I was inspiring my brain to shake out of its old rhythms. And as I'm seeing people are excited about this idea of where I'm trying to get to, Brenda, Helena, Rachel, Barbara, Deborah, Scarlett, and there's some other people sneaking in here, including Chris. So everyone's happy with where we're going. I'm very glad about that. So there is a scientific basis for this. And in fact, you use it every day of your life because you are bombarded by stimuli every single day. There are so many different things. There are so many different things on your phone, things in the real world, hopefully more things in the real world than on your phone. I'm glad Scarlett's shouting. And your brain is actually set up to try to create patterns out of the things that you see so that you aren't overstimulated to the point of insanity. So, this is known as the reticular activating system. When you think about a red car, you see more red cars out there, especially if it's like, I'm thinking about getting a red Subaru. And then you start seeing red Subarus. The red Subarus were there the whole time, but your brain had not latched onto that pattern because you hadn't brought it top of mind. You hadn't put that out there. And so there are patterns all around us that we are not seeing. There are things that we don't see in our brain's attempt to keep our sanity in place. Are you with me so far? You're with me on the reticular activating system. Some of you already know about this. Some of you maybe are hearing about this for the first time and are finally like, oh, that's why I keep seeing those red Subarus, etc. That now it makes sense. Now it makes sense. And so your brain is open and willing to look for new patterns. It's just the way it's built. But there is a problem. There is a problem, which is there are certain patterns that we are used to. There are certain patterns that we see all the dang time. There are certain patterns we see that are positive, and there are certain patterns we see that are negative. This can be a problem if we are so locked into so many negative patterns that we can't see the positive ones. So we might have a pattern brought up by some kind of childhood trauma or something else that is making us only look for the negative thing. Something I'm working through because it's kind of a past trauma situation. All the cards are on the table at Joy Made Millionaire. I've been working on this issue where I have some trauma around feeling like I'm working really, really hard and then making a mistake. And then I get very upset about the mistake. And this usually only happens like with, inside my house and without the gaze of the internet upon me. But this is something that obviously I have a negative pattern around that my brain is seeing, and my brain is linking this up. I was talking to Amanda Francis, my mentor, about this old wound, this old pain. And I think that's a really interesting way of looking at our past traumas as being these old pain, old pattern, old wound. And sometimes these patterns are locked into our brain because they are so old, because they are so scarred over, because they're connected up with some kind of subconscious negative thing that is incredibly hard to shake, incredibly hard to change the pattern on. But the reticular activating system is one of the things that is keeping that thing top of mind, because we keep seeing it because we are used to that pattern, and that pattern continues to reinforce negativity. Let's put all that on the side. So we've established that concept that the reticular activating system can do some good in showing us patterns of maybe things we're interested in, and it can do some bad in reinforcing patterns that are stuck with us and that maybe are holding us back. Are you kind of with me so far on that? Let me know. And I know Helena was with me on the reticular activating system. So we've got all that. Now, when you are considering a person who is lucky and who seems like they're getting a lot of great opportunities, you might think that that is just who they are. That is just the kind of person they are. They are just a lucky human being. They have been blessed by God. They have been blessed by the spirits above. That person they always seem to find these great things, these great opportunities, these great promotions, these great ways of getting their work out into the world. And that just is a lucky person. I am going to question this premise. I'm going to be Becca Syme here in this moment. You're going to say, damn it, Brian. No, you're going to question this premise. What if they aren't lucky? What if they see opportunities because their reticular activating system is trained on them? They see opportunities because they think opportunities are possible. They think that a joyous, cool thing happening to them is possible for them. I don't think people are necessarily lucky or unlucky. It is very, very possible that the people who are lucky, the people who are lucky are just trained to see good opportunities. So hopefully you're still with me on this one. Now let's pull back in what we were talking about with the reticular activating system. So if nobody is lucky or unlucky, there are just people who are more attuned to opportunities, more attuned toward the good things that could potentially happen to them. If this has nothing to do with woo woo and it's all about science, then what if these people just have figured out a way to train their brain, or they've done it naturally, to train their brain to just zero in on opportunities? If that is the case, then we can do it too. Then you can retrain your reticular activating system to focus in on opportunities. So what has to happen for us to shed the negative patterns, the negative things that maybe keep us from opportunities, kind of the corollary of the lucky person, the unlucky person who is only seeing missed opportunities or only seeing opportunities that just, aren't coming into fruition? What if you can change that about yourself? Let's just assume we can for the purposes of a 20-minute, 30-minute podcast. Let's assume that we can change this about ourselves. What needs to actually happen? Well, we need our brain to be open to different patterns. We need our brain to be open to clearing the trauma. We need our brain to be open to spotting the same kind of patterns that the so-called lucky people are tuned into. What does this require? Neuroplasticity, which means allowing our brain to be more open and ability to change our brain and willingness to do that. Now, no question, there are truths out there to the fact that neuroplasticity is easiest in kids. Kids have a brain that is actively moving and actively changing. And so we think, no, I'm too old. I'm not 18 anymore. I'm not 15 anymore. My brain can't change. And it's all a bunch of baloney. Around 2011, when I was researching, this all came back to me when we were looking at the Post-College Guide to Happiness. When you are looking at the research of neuroplasticity, it gets super duper interesting, especially in patients who have had traumatic brain injuries. When you see that people in their 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, etc., have a traumatic brain injury, what happens that is super interesting is that the brain starts rewiring itself to work. No matter what happened, the brain starts reworking itself in a way to function. There are studies of the brain actually moving certain parts of language or certain parts of understanding shapes or understanding various things, moving those in the brain of a 40, 50, 60, 70-year-old. There are studies of people who had traumatic brain injuries and they needed to relearn a simple concept that just didn't work in their brain anymore. I remember this one instance of a person who did not know how to tell time anymore. It just didn't work. And rather than give up, they decided, well, I'm going to go hardcore on this. I'm not just studying minutes and seconds. I'm going to use flashcards. I'm going to use clocks. I'm going to use all these things to study hundreds of tenths of a second and hundreds of a second, and started studying that so hard that the brain of a non-kid, of a non-teenager, of an adult person reworked itself to learn how to tell time. They studied it so deeply that they taught their brain how to read time, and the brain reworked itself. Neuroplasticity changed itself so that time could be told. As time would tell, it worked. Now, good joke there, in case you were keeping track of Brian's good jokes and Brian's not so good jokes. That was a good one. So here's the thing. If 40, 50, 60, 70-year-olds can have their brain reworked in case of traumatic injury, then absolutely we can rework our brains just because we feel like it. We can work around non-brain trauma. We can work around emotional trauma. We can work with our brain to start looking for patterns. I have been talking about lately with my coaching students that a belief is a thought that you think a lot. And so if you think that you can be a lucky person, you think that joyous, wonderful things can happen to you, if you think that there is good in my life that I am allowed to see, that I am allowing myself to see, if you allow yourself to think these things enough, if you allow yourself to think the thoughts of a lucky, opportunity attracting person, you will start to believe it. And guess what? Even if you don't believe it at first, your reticular activating system will hear you talking about opportunities, will hear will hear one of these amazing kind of things that you see, the joyous, wonderful stuff in your life. You will start to hear and see and look for great opportunities. The reticular activating system will be at work. And I am just blocking a user on YouTube for being funky there. But guys, if you can tell yourself these things and talk about these things, one of the things I remember from the happiness book that I researched, Happy for No Reason, is that people who study a certain thing like happiness, like luck, like opportunities, these kinds of things actually allow you to become happier, become luckier, become more joyous. And so if you are in the situation where you feel as though you have not had this luck in your life, you have not had these opportunities in your life, if it works for people with traumatic brain injuries, it works for you, you can change your brain. Your brain has the ability to change. The idea of this is just the way I am, this is just the kind of person I am, is BS, my friends. You can start looking for more opportunities. Your brain can start looking for more opportunities. You have the ability to change and grow, and you are going to find more good things in your life if you start talking about the good things, if you start journaling about the good things, you start writing that you want good things to happen. They are more likely to happen, not just because of woo-woo, but because of science. So tell me your thoughts. Those of you who are here live, I want to hear your thoughts on this. Are you convinced? Tell me in which ways you are not convinced. But are you convinced that you have the ability to be luckier? You have the ability to be happier. All you have to do is start telling your brain about these things. Start telling your brain about these things. So tell me what your thoughts are. I'm very, very interested. Craig had said good stuff. I see Peggy sneaking in here. Sandra was talking about having some childhood trauma about leaving the nest. There are definitely some ways to process childhood trauma. There are visualization exercises. I'm a big fan of tapping, EFT technique. I am reading about kind of therapy situations like EMDR. I have just finding out from my executive assistant today about repatterning. There are things that can be done when it comes to processing the trauma, processing the things that are holding us back, processing the things that are holding us back. Stephanie says, yes, I'm making it happen. I have seen that in action, Stephanie. And just with the amazing growth that you've had lately, I mean, remember that you deserve it. When good things happen to you, folks, I want you to remember that you deserve it. You deserve the good things in your life. And that is another way to get the RAS working for you. If you say that you deserve it and you believe that you deserve it, you will find more wonderful things that you deserve. I love it. I love it. I love it. Mary Jo says, yes, it works. She gets it. Put it into practice, Mary Jo. Start writing down some things that you feel like you want to start seeing in your life, whether it's money that you pull out of thin air, to borrow a phrasing from Amanda Francis, whether it is more book sales, whether it is more opportunities for book sales. Write it down. Write it down. Mike says 100%. I start thinking the day listing things I'm grateful for and lucky to have. I love this, Mike. I have one tweak for you if you're interested, and it's good to see you on this call, by the way. If you want to try this is from my 10 ways to add more joy to your life. This is at joymademillionaire.com for any of you listening. Write down 2 things you're grateful for, and then write a great when. Like I know from having worked with you, you might be grateful for your kids, grateful for like them being in school, and then it will be great when I hit a $4,000 royalties month. And that way you're also getting your brain trained on what are all the ways that could happen. What are all the ways that could happen? So a couple gratefuls, grateful, and then a great when. And that allows that grateful energy to kind of permeate into the great, the thing that you want to happen later. I see Lucy in here. Love to see Lucy. Ingrid says, yes, I believe this is true. And Ingrid, you're one of my amazing ad agency account managers. I don't talk about this nearly enough on the show, but I'm very lucky to have a 7-figure business where we're coaching authors and running Amazon ads and Facebook ads for authors. But Ingrid, we can do this for other people too. We can also put like our clients into this. We can say, I want this good thing to happen for this person, and then the reticular activating system starts to work. So we can absolutely do that. Yes, Barbara, this absolutely is reminiscent of creative visualization. And if you're a visualizing person, think about like, well, what would it look like for this good opportunity to come? What are some of the benefits of that? Like, is it like getting the royalty check? Is it getting getting the bestseller tag. What does it look like? And we can creatively visualize that. Deborah says, I've been working on breaking through those blocks for several years now. I 100% believe I can and will make it happen. Rephrasing. I am making it happen. I love the rephrasing. I am making it happen. I will make it happen. Deborah, let's meditate on this for a little bit. So we have a block. We have a block that we're working through. This can happen faster than I ever thought possible. I can overcome this block. I'm right now actively, my brain, my subconscious is working on breaking through this block. And Sandra, you can pull this in too. I'm so much bigger than this block. This block is so small now compared to me. I'm getting larger and larger. I am so much bigger and so much stronger than this block that has been holding me back. I am letting this block go. It is floating away. I have overcome this block. It is gone. Like, let's think of it in that way. I love it. I love it. Donna was already convinced. I love that, Donna. Take it to the next level. You're already convinced. What are some things you can write down that you want to be happening? And that, I didn't even talk really about the woo-woo today. If you just believe in the science of it, that can do enough. If you also believe in the woo-woo of it, that the energetics of writing these things down can help you, then that can work too. Double duty if you're believing in the energetics of it. Scarlett says, I absolutely can be all those things. Yes. Love that. You, Scarlett, you are such a great coach. You are such a great author. You can be those things. You will be those things. You can continue to grow in ways you haven't even thought possible. Let's meditate on that for a second. I have reached a point that I never thought possible. And now I am open to all other opportunities. I am open to further expansion. I am open to growing even larger than I thought. I am open to my bottom line growing. I am open to doing more than paying the bills. I am open to so much overflow, so much abundance, so many good things. I am open to books selling better than they ever have before. I am open to all of the wonderful things I have taught, working out for my own books. I am open to doubling my income. I am open to all possibilities. I am open to it all, and it all happens for me, and it happens so fast, and it happens in such an unexpected way, and it happens. And it happens, and it happens, and it happens. Awesome. Yes, Helena, I believe our beliefs create our reality. I know you're in on that too, Helena. Let's upscale the beliefs. Let's just keep upscaling the beliefs and upscaling the beliefs and upscaling the beliefs until there is just no possibility that we can think of something lower. No possibility of thinking of something lower. We can grow. We can expand. We can continue in such a positive direction. Let's write things down at the next level. Let's see where we can pull this off. Mike, I love it. Pathfinder alum, taking things to another lovely level. 5K, write down 6K, my friend. Write down 6K. Of course, celebrate the ever-loving crap out of the 5K. Of course. But let's also now start writing down the next number. Let's start writing down 6K. Let's start writing down 7K. You've made my day, though, my friend. I love to see another Pathfinder. That's about double where you were when we started. I think it's even more than double. So congratulations. Can everybody congratulate Mike on being such a superstar? I love it. I love it. I love it. Nothing makes me happier than a feather in my cap of someone taking things to the next level. Ingrid agrees with me on using this power for other people, for using this in a way that allows other people to expand as well. Let's use this with our 5 times. Oh my gosh, Mike says it's actually 5 times because the first month was about 1K. Such a superstar, Mike. Congratulations. Congratulations. But Ingrid agreeing that we can do this with other people. Let's do it with our significant others. Let's do it with our kids. Let's do it with the friends in our lives, our parents, our loved ones. Let's see what we can do to help make other good things happen for the other wonderful people in my life. I love this, Charity May. Yeah, it's okay that you're distracted. I'm glad I get you to think. That's my goal. I want you to think. I want you to think bigger. I want you to think about incredible things. In 2009, I was just leaving working Starbucks. I was working through a temp agency. I was doing all sorts of things to make ends meet. And I could have never imagined, never dreamed I would have gotten to where I am today, making over 7 figures for the last 2 years, making over 7 figures a year, growing by 50% from 2024 to 2025. I believed it was possible. Every year I believed a little bit bigger and a little bit bigger and a little bit bigger. And then we got to this point. I love this. Mary Jo was in New York recently, took a picture in front of the New York Times skyscraper to make it, when she makes it on the New York Times bestseller list. Hold it in your head, Mary Jo. I love that. What a great visualization there. And I see Avery says, yes, Avery, take this and run with it. Write down those beliefs. Do what you can do. Deidre Ann says, I firmly believe that living in the Delulu becomes reality. I 100% agree. My life compared to the Starbucks days, so Delulu, so delusional. And yet it happened. And I get to chat with other 7-figure people. I get to help 5 and 6 and 7-figure authors. I love it. What an amazing growth. What an amazing life here. All right, my friends, this has been a delight. I love. And Mike, there's people congratulating you on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, everywhere. People are fired up for you, my friend. Mike believed and grew, and it was always going to be possible. He invested in himself. And guys, there's always the opportunity to join my coaching group, my Pathfinders coaching group. Now, this is for authors earning over $2,500 a month, or author coaches earning over $2,500 a month from their business. We do have programs for those who aren't yet at that number, including our Groundbreakers program. Shoot us an email at Bryan@sellingforauthors, BRYAN, @sellingforauthors.com, and we can tell you a little bit more about those programs. But oh my gosh, I feel so lucky and blessed to get to talk to you guys today. This has been such a delight to get to keep doing this show. We are going to have a schedule change in a couple weeks because my family and I are going out of the country, which is going to be so delightful. But I'll let you know when that is happening. Thank you so much for watching or listening to today's episode. I hope you can go do some homework of writing down things. Maybe you don't believe them yet, but things you want to believe, things you want to happen, things that you want to either science your way through your brain, through the subconscious into happening, or woo-woo your way into happening. I want you to do this. Thank you, Avery. Thank you, Sandra. Thank you, Deborah. Thank you, Deidre Ann. Thank you to all of you here. I appreciate you guys so much. Spread the word. If you know someone who you think could benefit from Joy Made Millionaire, feel free to share it with them. But I love you guys. Have an amazing rest of your day, and we'll be back next week for episode 11. Take good care, everyone. Have a great rest of your day. See you soon. Bye, everyone.